Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
On Memorial Day of May 30th, 1921, 19-year-old Dick Rowland, a black shoe shiner who was employed at a Main Street Shine parlor, and entered the only elevator in the nearby Drexel building at 319 South Main Street in order to use the top floor colored restroom, which his employer had arranged for use by his black employees. You would think you could avoid that if you're going to have segregated restrooms, have them on the first floor.
yeah, all the way up to the top floor.
There, he encountered Sarah Page, the 17-year-old white elevator operator who was on duty. Right. Whether and to what extent Dick Rowland and Sarah Page knew each other has long been a matter of speculation.
I'm sure they did.
The two likely knew each other, at least by sight, because Rowland would have regularly ridden in Page elevator on his way to and from the restroom.
Exactly.
Right? A clerk at Renberg's, a clothing store on the first floor of the Drexel, heard what sounded like a woman scream, saw a young black man rushing from the building. The clerk went to the elevator and found Page in a distraught state.
Uh-oh. Ooh, he instantly thought bad thoughts about that black guy that was running. Thinking that she had been sexually assaulted, he summoned the authorities.
He's like, authorities, I summon you.
Apart from the clerk's interpretation that Rowland had attempted to rape Page, many explanations had been given for the incident, with the most common explanation being that Dick Rowland tripped as he got into the elevator, and as he tried to catch his fall, he grabbed onto the arm of Sarah Page, who then screamed. Others suggested that Rowland and Page had a lover's quarrel, which is
maybe they were banging. Maybe they were banging in the elevator on the way to the top and stuff.
I would believe that one.
You know how those white girls like that dark meat. The 2001 Oklahoma Commission final report notes, 2001, that it was unusual for both Rowland and Page to be working downtown on Memorial Day when most stores and businesses were closed.
Damn right.
But it was also speculated that Rowland was there because the shoe shine parlor which he had worked for may have been open, obviously, to draw on some of the parade traffic.
Obviously.
While Page had been required to work in order to transport building employees and their families to the parade viewing spots on the building's upper floors.
Makes sense now.
Right.
So there goes that whole theory.
Right.
That whole paragraph was worthless.
Right.
Although the police questioned Page, no written account of her statement has been found. But apparently, she told the police that Rowland had grabbed her arm and nothing more. And she would not press any charges.
Yeah, they were definitely. She was like, "What the hell are you talking to Cynthia down there? I saw you."
The police determined that what happened between the two teenagers was less than assault and conducted a low-key investigation rather than launching a manhunt for her alleged assailant.
Right.
Regardless of whether or not assault had occurred, Rowland had reason to be fearful, as African-American men accused of raping white women were often prime targets for lynch mobs.
Yeah.
There was no trial or anything. You're guilty. Guilty. Especially in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Rowland fled to his mother's house in the Greenwood neighborhood.
Good for him. Well, I don't know if it's good for him.
Right.
On the morning after the incident, Henry Carmichael, a white detective, and Henry C. Pack, a black patrolman, located Rowland on Greenwood Avenue and detained him. Pack was one of two black officers on the city's police force of about 45 officers. Rowland was initially taken to the Tulsa City Jail at the corner of 1st and Main. Late that day, Police Commissioner J.M. Atkinson said he had received an anonymous telephone call threatening Rowland's life.
Oh.
He ordered Rowland transferred to the more secure jail on the top floor of the Tulsa County Courthouse. Rowland was well known among attorneys and other legal professionals within the city, many of whom he shined their shoes for.
There's like, there's nothing wrong with this boy.
Right.
It was simply a lover's quarrel.
Some witnesses later recounted hearing several attorneys defend Rowland in their conversations with one another. One of the men said, "Why, I know that boy, and I have had known him for a good while. That's not him. That's not in him. That's
not what happened."
He wouldn't do that.
Right. Tulsa Tribune, owned, published, and edited by Richard Lloyd Jones, and one of the two white-owned papers which were published in Tulsa. So there's only two white-owned papers in Tulsa, and then two
blacks.
Nice. That's good stuff. It's equal.
Right.
They broke this story.
Or how about equal? How about they just report
together?
Whole news.
Together. Well, anyway, the Tulsa Tribune broke the story in the afternoon's edition with the headline, "Nabbed Negro for attacking girl in elevator." That's a dumb headline.
Nabbed Negro for attacking girl in elevator. Are they calling for people to get him?
There should be a question mark there or something. Right. Or, anyhow, that's what it said. Nabbed Negro for attacking girl in an elevator. And then they described that alleged incident. According to some witnesses, the same edition of the Tribune included an editorial warning of a potential lynching of Rowland, titled, "To Lynch Negro Tonight." The paper was known at the time to have a sensationalist style of news writing. I guess so.
I may have well called it the Tulsa Inquirer.
Right. Allegedly, all original copies of that issue of the paper have apparently been destroyed. I hope so. Actually, no. They need to be preserved to show the stupidity. And the relevant page is missing from microfilm copy,
Of course.
It is. Jeez, old Pete. It says the freaking
FBI written all over it.
Right.
The FBI wasn't even here yet.
The Tulsa Race Riot Commission in 1997 offered a reward for the copy of the editorial, which went unclaimed. Like, I'm sorry, that's just one thing we cannot unearth.
Copy of the Tulsa Tribune of June 1st, 1921 was found. On the front page was an article headline, Nab Negro for Attacking Girl in an Elevator. The editorial page was also found. It did not have an article headline to lynch a Negro tonight,
Okay,
though.
so, okay.
Other newspapers of the time, like the Black Dispatch and the Tulsa World, did not call attention to any such editorial.
Because they knew.
Right. So the exact content of the column and whether or not it existed at all remains in dispute.
Right.
However, Chief of Detectives James Patton attributed the cause of the riots entirely to the newspaper account and stated, "If the facts in the story as told the police had only been printed, I do not think there would have been any riot whatsoever."
The afternoon edition of the Tribune hit the streets shortly after 3 p.m. Soon news spread of a potential lynching. By 4 o'clock, local authorities were on alert. White residents began congregating at and near the Tulsa County Courthouse. By sunset, around 7:30 p.m., hundreds of white residents assembled outside the courthouse. They appeared to have the makings of a lynch mob. They're like, damn, that looks like a lynch mob out there. How do you know? There was only several hundred.
I think I see a noose.
Willard M. McCullough, the newly elected sheriff of Tulsa County, was determined to avoid events such as the 1920 lynching of white murder suspect Roy Belton in Tulsa. He's like, we don't need another one of those, which had occurred during the term of his predecessor.
Dude was white, though.
Right. The sheriff took steps to ensure the safety of Rowland. McCullough organized his deputies into a defensive formation around
What the hell
Rowland.
is this? Like a take my inspiration from General Grant.
Right. Well, they formed a whole a ring around Rowland, and he was terrified. He's like, they're going to kill me. And they're like, we got you, boy.
Got you.
The
Which is weird that they're actually defending him.
It's fantastic. The Guthrie Daily Leader reported that Rowland had been taken to the county jail before crowds started to gather. Right.
Sheriff positioned 6 of his men armed with rifles and shotguns on the roof of the courthouse. He disabled the building's elevator and had his remaining men barricade themselves at the top of the stairs with orders to shoot any intruders on sight.
Oh, damn.
Sheriff went outside and tried to talk to the crowd, and he said, "Why don't y'all go home?" But they said, no avail. According to an account by Scott Ellsworth, sheriff was hooted down, apparently.
They hooted him.
They hooted him. At about 8:20 p.m., 3 white men entered the courthouse, demanding that Rowland be turned over to them.
Dang.
Although vastly outnumbered by the growing crowd on the street, Sheriff McCullough turned the men away.
Dude.
He said, "You get out of here. Lock the fucking courthouse doors."
That place just went back 50 years.
I know.
And this now they're like, now we got to start all over. Jeez.
Lock the doors. Why are people allowed to just go inside? So what are they going to do? Burn the house down? Burn the courthouse down? Doubtful. This whole thing could have been, well, I don't know about the riots coming up, but at least the little situation in the courthouse could have been avoided.
Yeah, that's the problem right there. This is a effect of
Of a cause.
right of Oklahoma not following the national freaking law.
Obviously.
And this is what happens. And when Washington D.C. ain't smart enough, or they ain't they're ignorant on the position that's going on, this is also what happens. Or you think they knew and just didn't care.
Obviously, they didn't care.
Right. They're like, hey, man, we put it in law. What do you want us to do after that? Well, enforce it.
Right.
What?
Enforce it. Did you hear this guy? He said enforce it.
Jeez. A few blocks away on Greenwood Avenue, members of the black community gathered to discuss the situation at Gurley's Hotel. Given the recent lynching of Belton, a white man accused of Moida, they believed that Rowland was greatly at risk.
Right, you know they're talking about if they're gonna hang a white man,
Right.
what do you think they're gonna do to Rowland?
Right. I think maybe most of it, you think? I think their crowd was split on just because it was a crime like that. Because you don't mess with women back in the day or touch them like that.
Yeah, but how many instances before then were black dudes falsely accused of raping chicks and getting lynched?
It's even worse
I mean,
too back then, especially if it's a black guy and a white chick.
What was that?
Dude.
What was that? Rosewood or whatever?
Jeez. Many black residents were determined to prevent the crowd from lynching Rowland.
Obviously, I would assume so.
What? But they were divided about tactics.
Well, what do we do to prevent this?
Young World War I veterans prepared for a battle by collecting guns and
You know
ammo.
damn well they're like, we just got back from the war. We're ready still.
Fuck yeah! Let's go! Older, more prosperous men feared a destructive confrontation that would likely cost them dearly.
Yeah, well, they
They're
were
like,
right.
This is not going to turn out well. We got to calm these people down.
That's why they're prosperous.
O.W. Gurley stated that he had tried to convince the men that there would be no lynching. But the crowd responded that Sheriff McCullough had personally told them their presence was required. And they were like, no,
they want us to come down here, man.
Told us, hey, man.
Well, about 9:30 p.m., a group of approximately 50 to 60 black men armed with rifles and shotguns.
That's the worst part.
They arrived to the jail to support the sheriff and his deputies in defending Rowland from the mob. Corroborated by 10 witnesses, Attorney James Luther submitted to the grand jury that they were following the orders of Sheriff McCullough, who publicly denied he gave any orders. And he says, I think James Luther is saying this, he says, I saw a car full of Negroes driving through the streets with guns. I saw Bill McCullough and told them those Negroes would cause trouble. McCullough tried to talk to them, and they got out and stood in single file. W.G. Daggs was killed near Boulder and 6th Street. I was under the impression that a man with authority could have stopped and disarmed them. I saw Chief of Police on south side of courthouse on top step talking, and did not see any officer except for the chief. I walked in the courthouse and met McCullough in about 15 feet of his door. Told him that these Negroes were going to make trouble, and he said he had told them to go home. He went out and told the whites to go home, and one said, they said, you told them to come up here. McCullough said, I did not, and the Negro said, you did tell us to come.
So what happened there?
So he clearly told them to come,
Right.
but now he's denying it to save face in front of everybody.
Jeez. Well, half that crowd that was against it anyway, they should have stood up there with the 50 to 60 blacks.
Who said half of them were against it?
A lot of them were.
We don't know that.
Having seen the armed black men, some of the more than 1,000 whites who had been at the courthouse went home for their guns. Like, you know what? I'll be right back.
Look, they didn't even take them with them the first time.
Yeah, see? Others headed for the National Guard Armory.
Oh, jeez.
They're like, we'll just go over there. There's guns there.
Right. It's closer.
And it's on the corner of 6th and Norfolk Avenue, where they planned to arm themselves.
I would assume.
The armory contained a supply of small arms and ammo.
I'm sure it did. So it's called an armory.
Major James Bell of the 180th Infantry Regiment learned of the mounting situation downtown and the possibility of a break-in, and he consequently took measures to prevent it. He was like,
I would hope so.
Shit. How many people do you think he has? None of them there, probably.
Well, you're about to see, I guess.
He called the commanders of the 3 National Guard units in Tulsa, who ordered all the Guard members to put on their uniforms and report quickly to the Army.
Get your ass over there.
Half of them were probably at the courthouse.
I know, they're like, fuck. Like, damn it, guys, sorry.
When I see you, you better just move. I have to take you out. When a group of whites arrived and began pulling at the grating over a window, Bell went outside to confront the crowd of about 300.
They got some damn balls going to a damn armory.
Well, 300 or 400 of them, man. They were taking this shit over. Bell went outside to confront the crowd of about 300 to 400 men. Bell told them that the Guard members inside were armed and prepared to shoot anyone who tried to enter. After this show of force, the crowd withdrew from the. He was like, "No." The crowd was like, "Okay,
Oh,
we tried."
all right. At the courthouse, the crowd had swollen to nearly 2,000 by this time, many of them now armed. Several local leaders, including Reverend Charles W. Kerr, pastor of the First Presbyterian Church, tried to dissuade mob action.
Right.
Chief of Police John A. Gustafson later claimed that he tried to talk the crowd into going home. Anxiety on Greenwood Avenue was rising. Many black residents worried about the safety of Rowland.
Yeah.
You think, like, they're not just like, screw this kid. Just give him to him and then all this shit will go away, right?
Right.
Or how about just whisk the kid out of town?
Right.
I mean, small groups of armed black men ventured toward the courthouse in automobiles, partly for reconnaissance and to demonstrate that they're prepared to take necessary action to protect him.
Right.
Many white men interpreted these actions as a Negro uprising, quote unquote, and became concerned.
Yeah, I would say the way they rolled in like that would be a little.
What are you talking about? You got 2,000 men in front of the courthouse with guns?
Yeah, they're just stand there, and you can easily walk up there as well.
I guess. All right, well, that's what they did. They drove up there in automobiles.
There's like 50 of them there hanging outside with their
We don't know that.
with their single shot freaking rifles.
I don't know. Eyewitnesses reported gunshots, presumably fired into the air, increasing in frequency during the evening. In Greenwood, well, we know night falls, then everything gets a little hotter. Greenwood, rumors begin to fly. In particular, a report that whites were storming the courthouse. Oh, shit. That's not January 6th.
Uh-oh. Shortly after 10 p.m., a second larger group, approximately 75 armed black men, decided to go to the courthouse.
Yep, they got some alcohol in them by now, and they're like, fuck it, let's go.
They offered their support to the sheriff. Well, that's cool. I bet they're nice and cordial. And the sheriff was like, we decline.
Yeah.
We respectfully decline, and we wish for you just to go home. We got
We
this
just want
under
everybody to
control.
go home.
We're trying to get everybody to go home. It would help if you just listen, and maybe everybody else would listen too. They're like, well, they're not going home. I ain't going home.
I ain't going home. He's like, well, then fine. You just stand out here, but I don't need your help.
Right. There are conflicting reports about the exact time and nature of the incident or incidents that immediately precipitated the massacre. According to 2001 commission.
Why the hell are they just now having a commission 90 years later, first of all? 80 years later.
because they're stupid. According to a 2001 commission, it says, quote, as the black men were leaving, a white man attempted to disarm a tall African-American World War I veteran. Can't do that. Mm-mm. A struggle ensued, and a shot rang out, end quote. Then, according to the sheriff, all hell broke loose. Because what happened after that, Sheriff? I can just tell you right now, all hell broke loose that night. At the end of the exchange of gunfire, 12 people were dead, 10 white and 2 black.
Holy shit. Well, white people ain't going to be happy.
No.
Another first-hand account originates from Eloise Taylor Butler, the daughter of the famed Peg Leg Taylor, who was 19 years old and in Greenwood on that day. Who's the famed Peg Leg Taylor?
Right.
According to Eloise's great-granddaughter, who passed on the story that Eloise told her while the initial story was that it started at the courthouse. In fact, it escalated to the courthouse. It started like down the street from the courthouse. That's a quote. That's a quote. Started like down the street from the courthouse. Great-granddaughter. Okay. This key inciting incident reportedly occurred when a group of around 6 white men approached and beat down a lone black man.
Oh, I can believe that all day.
Black store owners reportedly then came out of nearby shops to help defend the black man, and quote-unquote, once they started defending him, they ended up having to shoot.
I mean, what are you going to do, right?
The account further notes, the black store owners fought back the best they could, but the white mob started on that end of town where the black people started fighting. The white mob set those initial shops on fire at the very beginning.
At the very beginning? Oh, I don't know about that. A 2001 commission itself does know that, quote, African-American homes and businesses along Archer were the first targets, end quote, of the white mob's arson.
Right.
These could possibly be the same shops as, quote, down the street from the courthouse.
Right. So, maybe she's right.
Well, this inciting incident reportedly took place and establishes an immediate motive for those particular shops to be targeted first.
Right.
Okay. Of course, it may simply be the case that they were targeted first only out of convenience, since they're Archer being the very first street on Greenwood side of the Frisco tracks. So, yeah, why would you skip?
Why would you go to the other end of the neighborhood
and then start this way? How about we got to come back anyway, so let's just walk down.
I mean, right? You're good.
On the way back.
That'd actually be smarter.
Because then we're going to have to walk through.
We're going to have to walk away, yeah.
So let's do the sign, and
right.
We're gonna say we're here peacefully, guys, as we're walking through and on the way back. Like, psych! Like, damn, we should never trusted them. I knew someone was up.
Fell for that shit again.
Yeah. Moreover, while the Taylor account seems adamant that this incident occurred before the initial gunfight at the courthouse, and then escalated to the courthouse, it's still possible that the incident Taylor witnessed was itself simply a product of the rolling gunfight that is known to have ensued across the streets of Tulsa following that first widely reported exchange of gunfire. Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Right, it's like our one episode where the dude said that he was immediately accosted by those guys,
right,
in the Green Glenville riots. Right. But then other people said they were talking and they were there for a minute. So she don't know. It could have been going on at the same time. Then she heard of the gunfight at the courthouse and was like, well, that had to happen, you know. I mean, you never know. I don't know.
I say, yeah.
Well, the gunshots triggered an almost immediate response with both sides firing on the other. Oh, geez. The first battle was said to only last a few seconds or so, but took a toll as 10 whites and 2 black men lay dead or dying in the street.
Dang.
The black men who had offered to provide security retreated toward Greenwood. A rolling gunfight ensued. See, they're just going down the street shooting at each other now.
Oh, yeah.
The armed white mob pursued the black contingent towards Greenwood, with many stopping to loot local stores for additional weapons and ammunition.
Oh, shit.
Along the way, bystanders, many of whom were leaving a movie theater after a show, were caught off guard by the mobs and fled.
Oh, shit.
Panic set in as the white mob began firing on any black people in the crowd.
Oh, shit.
The white mob also shot and killed at least one white man in the confusion.
Yeah.
According to Oklahoma Historical Society, some in the mob were deputized by police and instructed to get a gun and get a N-word. I thought the local police was on the rolling guy's side, and now they're deputizing people to tell them to go kill black people?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
The whole thing is...
What the hell's going on here?
McCullough is a little fishy guy.
Yeah, obviously.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe so you never miss out on new episodes of Outlaws and Gunslingers or Battles of the American Civil War, right here on the Bang Dang Network. And don't forget to check out those playlists.